Thank you for tuning in to Upon the Rock broadcast. I'm your host, Pastor Lawrence Shakir. I believe the Word of God will build a godly foundation in the lives of people. There is more available information on our website. You can log on to shakirministries.org. Now, let's go on to today's message. Hello again. Thank you for tuning into this broadcast. Today, I'm going to talk to you all about, the origin of Satan. How did Satan become Satan? How did he become, the devil and the accuser of the brother and this adversary that we fight, that you and I fight every single day? I mean, why does Satan hate us so much? Why does Satan have such this vindictive attitude against us? And some people may say, what did I ever do to the devil? Well, that's what I want to kind of bring some clarity on, because we have a real enemy, and he hates man. He hates you. He hates me. He hates God. He hates us. He's a hater. He's the father of hate. He's the father of lies. And so Satan hates us with a strong hatred. And there's a reason why that he hates us so much. But he didn't used to always be that way. He used to be a good angel. His name was Lucifer, actually. And he was, Lucifer means son of the morning, or brightness, bringing light. Okay. And, but something happened to him from the time he was created until the devil, or Satan, that we know presently now today. Okay. In Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 11 through 19, the Bible says, the word of the Lord came to me, son of man, take up a lament concerning the king of Tyre, and say to him, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Now, when he talks about this king, it's symbolic, because anytime you look at Ezekiel, you get to look at the way he's talking about in the spirit. Ezekiel was a pretty odd prophet, that he would kind of just go into these things, and you have to really just look behind what he was saying. So this is one of the parts he was saying. It was concerning Satan, or Lucifer. He said, you were the model of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Verse 13. You were in Eden, Satan, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you. Every precious stone. Now, what is the precious stone? Rubies, diamonds. And he begins to go into that. He says rubies, topaz, emeralds, crystals, onyx, jasper, sapphire, turquoise. Your settings of mounting, you were made of gold. So in other words, you are a beautiful, beautiful angel. Okay? And on the day you were created, they were prepared. All of these emeralds, all of this stuff was inside of you, in your skin. Okay? Verse 14. You were anointed as a guardian cherubim, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among the fiery stones. Okay, so he's describing this angel again, said that you're like a guardian, you were anointed, and you walked among these fiery stones. And then he says, you were blameless in all your ways, Lucifer. He didn't say the name yet, but we're going to get to that when he was describing. You were blameless in all your ways from the day you were created until wickedness was found in you. We're going to go into that, the details of that wickedness. But he says, you were blameless. You were doing just fine. Everything was good until wickedness was found in you. Verse 16, through your widespread trade, you were filled with violence, and you sinned. Watch this. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God, and I expelled you, O guardian cherubim, among the fiery stones. How did this happen? Verse 17 tells you, your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth, he says, and I made you a spectacle of you before the kings. All right, so he says you were doing just fine. You were okay until you got proud. The very first downfall. The Bible talks about pride comes before destruction, and a heart tongue-tied, before a fall. Pride. That's why God says, I hate. Have you ever noticed how much God says, I hate a proud look? Do you know why? Because that was the very first sin, was that pride. I don't need God. I don't need this. I can do this on my own. I can do this better than you. God said, I hate a proud look. Lucifer was the first one who had pride. It was that first real sin, was that arrogance. And it got him kicked out of heaven. He devised this plot, and he deceived 1/3 of the angels. Okay? But let's look at Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 through 17. He says, verse 12, how have you fallen from heaven, Lucifer, son of the dawn? That's what it means. You have been cast down to the earth. You who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly, on the utmost heights of the sacred mountain. Verse 14. I will ascend above the tops of the clouds and make myself like the Most High God. There you go. He wanted God's seat. He wanted God's throne. He was already just fine at first. He was blameless. Everything was fine until he wanted that seat for himself. And God said, no. God is a jealous God. He said, you should have no other gods before me. Nobody's going to be before God. Are you crazy? God created everything. And you going to let the creation try to be the creator now? God said, no, it's not going to happen. Verse 15 says, but you were brought down to hell, to the depths of the pit. Talking about Lucifer now. All that beautiful skin and all of those onyx and everything, he became now what we call the devil. Okay? So Lucifer was kicked out, and he took 1/3 of the angels with him. That's a large chunk of the pie that's out of heaven. I mean, God still has 2/3, but he took 1/3. And so all these angels now, they lost their celestial bodies, and now they are demons now. They still are under Satan's power. So Lucifer's name changed from Lucifer to Satan, because Lucifer was a heavenly name. Anytime we think of Lucifer, we think that's a bad name, but Lucifer is not a bad name. Lucifer is the heavenly name that God gave him. He has turned into Satan, or the devil. And these angels that were with him, they are now turned to demons now. The ones that try to get you off track, the ones that try to bound you and keep you depressed and keep you, suicidal or addicted to drugs or addicted to anything that's ungodly. These used to be angels, but now they're demons now. Okay? After Lucifer was kicked out of heaven, he became Satan and the devil. 1/3 of the angels that got kicked out along with him became demons, or in other words, fallen angels. That's what they call them, fallen angels. So there was this void in heaven. There's this void now because Lucifer is gone. All of these angels was gone. And Lucifer, or Satan, he has no power. So once he got kicked out, everything that God gave him, God stripped it from him. Okay? It's almost like if you got disgraced from the army and they snatch those ribbons off you, it's because you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to wear that. And so Satan and all these fallen angels, they had no power at all. So the question remains, how did they get power? Or who gives them power? Because right here, he had no power. So Satan is not giving him credit, but he's very crafty. So he had to find a way to gain power again. Illegally, but he had to find a way to gain power illegally. And so that's what brings us to Genesis chapter 1, because all of this happened in the beginning. And so after God had created man in his image and everything, he told him, take care of the garden, take care of this, and then, everything will be fine. So it was this void, and man kind of helped fill that void because, first, Lucifer was one of those angels that God was like, wow, look at what I've done. I'm glad that I did this, and this is just a really good angel. He got kicked out. It's almost like it hurt God's heart, and God created man, and then God all of a sudden looked at man and said, wow, look at what I've done. this is good. He's just like us. It's not like an angel, but he's just like us. The Bible says that let us make man in our own image and in our own likeness, and let them rule. See, God is a ruler. He said, let them rule like how we rule over the fish and over the sea and the birds in the air and over the livestock and all over the earth and all of the creatures of the earth that move on the ground. And so he gave man all of this power. And you can imagine Satan was like, that used to be my power. Who is this? The Bible talks about in Psalms chapter 18, I believe it is. He said, what is man that you are mindful of him? Why do you like man like that? I mean, here are these angels. They're all powerful and they're strong and they can make earthquakes by what they talk about and everything. And they have all this power, but you give all this authority to man. And Satan says, I can't handle that. That's just not right. And so from that point on, he put his eyes on man. If you got all the power, I need to find a way for you to give me your power. And that's what happens. Verse 27. It says, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him, and male and female, he created them. All right, so God chose someone else because Satan wasn't acting, or Lucifer wasn't doing, who wasn't acting right. So Satan and the angels that followed behind him were created to praise and worship God. And now that we used to have an authority, and now they're being powerful, but now they're not powerful. Now that God has placed all his authority on man, it was an insult to him and his demonic angels. Here goes the key of why he hates man so much. It's an insult that God gave us all of this power, gave all this authority. Okay, so he set his crosshairs on man and said, I'm going to get that power back. If it's the last thing I do, I'm going to get that power back. So the verse that I was talking about before in Psalms, when he said, what is man? It's in Psalms chapter 8, verse 3. I'm going to read that real quick. When I consider your heavens, this is David talking. When I consider your heavens and the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, which you have set in place. Verse 4, what is man that you are mindful of him, and the son of man that you care for him? Verse 5, you have made him a little lower than angels, or in other words, heavenly beings. But when that word angels, he's talking about Elohim. So he says, you have made him a little lower than Elohim and crowned him with glory and honor. You have made him ruler over all the works of your hands, and you put everything under his feet. So even man now is ruler over angels. It's like God, man, angels. Even though angels are much more powerful, man is ruler over angels. And Satan said, that is just not right. He's over there, him and the demons, they're just freaking out, talking about, that is just not right. We got more power. How does this small, insignificant man have more power than us? And so he started to covet that. I want that power. I want that power back. And he says, verse 6 again, you have made him ruler over all the works of your hands and put everything under his feet. Verse 7, all the flocks, the herds, the beasts of the field, the birds of the air, the fish of the sea. He started going down through all this list. And so Satan says, no, we got it. We have to find a way to get this. And so you know the story. God says, okay, Adam, I created you. All I want you to do is take care of this. I'm going to give you a job. Just watch over this, take care of everything and just keep it. I created all this for you. Now you take care of it. Okay. Oh, and don't touch that tree in the middle of the garden, the tree of knowledge. Don't touch that. That's my tree. It's almost like God saying, that's my tree. Don't you touch that. Okay. And so, so Satan said, oh, okay. So God doesn't want him touching that. So if he does something wrong, like I done something wrong, then me and him will be on the same boat. So Satan started to devise a plan. Since he has all that power, I got to figure out a way to get that power to me. And Satan says, well, I can't go to him because God told him not to do that. Maybe I can go through his helpmeet, the person that helped him, and through her, we can get that power back. So that's what happened in Genesis chapter 3. And when he said, hey, to the woman, did God tell you not to eat that fruit of that tree over there? And she said, oh, yeah, well, we can't eat it or we can't touch it or we'll die. He said, oh, you ain't going to die, woman. What's wrong with you? You ain't going to die. The serpent said to the woman, for God knows that the day you eat it, your eyes will be open and you will be like God. She didn't have to eat it because they were like God, basically. They were just gods on the earth. So you didn't have to eat it. I mean, you wasn't missing out on anything. And so You'll be like God, knowing good and evil. Well, there was no real evil in the earth. Satan brought it with him. There was no evil. It was just God and the earth, right? And so verse 6, so the woman saw, or she gazed, or she looked at the fruit. And if you look at something long enough, you'll start to want it. And she looked at the fruit of the tree, and it was good for food, and it was pleasing to the eye. It looked good. I mean, get away from this. Well, it was an apple. We don't know if it's an apple. I mean, I don't know who started that. It wasn't an apple. I don't believe it was an apple. I don't know if it was an apple or a watermelon. I really don't care. The Bible just says it was fruit. Okay? So the fruit was pleasing to the eye, and it was desirable for gaining wisdom. So she just looked at this, and she took some and ate it. We're going to stop right there. When she ate it, guess what? Nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. God didn't come down. Look what happened. You know what was going on. She ate the fruit. Oh, it tastes good. Nothing wrong. But she wasn't the target in the first place. Adam, the one who got the assignment, was the target in the first place. So when she ate the fruit thinking that everything was fine, not that she said, oh, God lied. She didn't think that, but she thought, oh, okay, there's nothing wrong with this. And here goes Satan. Why don't you give something to your husband? You know, because the husband's the one who holds all the power. Not the woman is, there to help, but God never told the woman. He told Adam. Okay, Adam told Eve, and well, her name wasn't Eve yet; it was just woman until they got kicked out of the garden. But anyway, he told his wife, not we can't do that. So since she ate it and it wasn't hurting her, he said, give it to your husband. So she went, and she also gave to her husband who was with her. So it wasn't like Adam was somewhere else tilling the ground. While this serpent was talking to Eve, Adam, when I get to heaven, Adam was sitting right there, and he's just watching her just, have this conversation with this serpent. She eating the fruit. You never heard him say, hey, don't eat that, don't eat that. He never said anything. He kind of just sitting there and then used her almost like a guinea pig in a way. You all right, wife? You okay? So nothing happened. She gave it to him. When he ate the fruit, all hell broke loose. I mean, there was no such thing as maybe hurricanes and tornadoes and things killing things. And before he ate the fruit, everything was fine. Lions wasn't eating other animals. They was eating grass and everything. Now all of a sudden Adam ate the fruit and everything went bad.
Thank you for listening to Upon the Rock broadcast. If this message has been a blessing, you can help us spread the gospel by sharing this message with your friends. Also, if you're online, please be sure to contact me, either through our website at shakirministries.org or through social media. I would love to hear from you. Together, we can build a godly foundation in the lives of people. Until next time, please know that I'm praying for you, and I hope to see you on our next broadcast.